Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
I hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Welcome to At the Buzzer. How are you doing, Coach Paul?
It's Turnaround Tuesday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Equities turned around a couple times.
And couldn't figure out which way it wanted to go. Could not
No.
figure out which way it wanted to go. But welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If it's our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay, been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some experiences, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
If you are all our chat, our audience, thank you for being here each and every day. We got that risk disclosure up in the chat. Shout out to Coach Hoop posting that. Let us know how you did today. Were you up on the day, down on the day? Anything that you learned from the day? For me, I was up on the day, then tried to get short the equities. Probably a little impatient getting short the equities. Was the right call, but poor timing. So gave back some profits on the day, but we still have an account to trade tomorrow, and that is the most important. Coach Paul, how was your day?
It was a great night last night for me.
Yeah.
I gave a slice of it back
Okay.
um, in the day, but overall was last night was a really good night.
Nice.
So
We'll talk
it came out well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We will talk about that for sure. Let's take a look at the Trader Hub. Take a look at the news. Um, Big news tomorrow, obviously, is NVIDIA earnings coming out. We are going to get some of the economic data that has been on hold through the government shutdown. Looks like we're getting PPI for September on November 25th. Import and export prices for September, December 3rd. Outside of that, not much as far as planned news goes. We had an ADP unemployment change, ADP employment change come out at 232,000. Forecast was 265,000. Home Depot earnings, factory orders. We're starting to get some of these, numbers and things like that back. So make sure you keep one eye on the ditch, like JD says. But of course, got to trade the market that's in front of you. Coach Paul, anything you got on the news today?
Nothing big. Like I said, all eyes are to tomorrow
Yep.
and NVIDIA.
Absolutely. Let's see what NVIDIA does tomorrow. Make sure you join us for At the Buzzer. We will be having an NVIDIA watch party to see how NVIDIA affects the markets. Let's take a look at the quote board. We have 35 different markets, 36 different markets we could trade with Topstep accounts. And today, to the downside, and micro Ethereum keeps jumping off of my watch list for some reason. Okay, today, to the downside, we had the NASDAQ down 1.31%, soybean meal down 1.33%, and the Nikkei down 2.03% for our biggest percentage mover to the downside. To the upside, we had soybean oil up 1.94%, micro Ethereum futures up 4.07%, and heating oil, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 5.7%. Heating oil.
Wow.
What a move. What a move. Let's take a quick look at this
It's a
chart.
derivative of crude oil. We've been bad mouthing crude oil.
We should have just been trading heating oil the whole time.
Yeah.
Look at this.
It's easy when you look backwards.
Right. Yeah. In hindsight, why am I
Yeah.
trading anything but heating oil when I'm looking at this chart? But 5.7% day today in heating oil, and that is highs of the year. Let's talk about our big four. We have crude oil up 1.27%, the S&P down 0.89%, gold down 0.16%, and the NASDAQ down 1.29%. Sometimes it's a big four, sometimes it's a big five. Natural gas, pretty quiet today, up 0.4%. Let's take a look at the equities. I'm going to switch over to an S&P chart today. S&P on the daily, Coach Paul, what are we looking at here?
Well, making new lows in this correction, but we're still holding the candle. But now we've finished the second day below that 50 moving average, and we're not seeing any responsive buying
Right.
And we feel that today it's heavy, but stocks don't go down as easily as they go up. Um, but it's turning. It hasn't turned yet to me, but the challenge is on. Can we close below that tantrum candle? I think we're going to find out soon.
We are going to find out soon. This is the first time since May of 2025 that we've had two candles close below the 50-day moving. Oh, no, that is not true. We got to go back even further. April. This is the first time since April, and that was when we already started the uptrend. First time since April, we've had two daily candle closes below the 50-day moving average in the S&P.
Yeah. And I think that's, and also, what other structure do we see? Is it if we put a line chart, do we have a head and shoulders? No, a little bit, depending on what kind of artist you are. But that it begins to look toppish. Now, the candle, the tantrum candle, a close below that, and I think we really pick up some momentum to the downside, because once again, we're not seeing responsive buyers,
Right.
and you're going to feel that in today's action. When it went down hard, recovered, choked,
Yep.
and then
right
at
back
the end
down.
of the day, no one took it home, or the balance didn't take it home. They exited.
Yep. Billy with the nice eye there. Same volume as the tantrum candle. Yeah. We had 2.44 million contracts traded in the S&P today. That October 10th candle was 2.45 million. So pretty heavy volume. Outside of the craziness that we had in April and May, these are some of the highest volume candles. This is maybe top 20 highest volume candles we've seen this year. It's not nothing. What does it mean for what does it mean for tomorrow? We'll see, but it's not nothing.
It was a good point. When we were earlier today, we were looking at the first half hour bar, the candles, the volume, and it was very large volume in the first hour. To me, that was selling. It had that flavor. Like, they sold it early. They didn't want to take the risk of waiting.
Yep. Courtney in the chat says, just for fun, put a fixed range volume profile on the contract starting September 15th was the rollover day. Here you go. Point of control was the resistance today.
Huh?
Interesting.
And that was from rollover?
Yeah. From the start of this contract. Interesting.
Oh,
There you have it.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. So yeah, we're still trading inside this October 10th candle. This is the first close below 50% of it since, all month, really. What does that mean for tomorrow? We shall see, or for the rest of the trading year, really. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart here. We have that back. Last night's open. And what do you see here, Coach Paul, on the 30-minute?
Well, last night we had urgency selling, and it picked up when China opened up.
Yeah.
The Shanghai candle, we shall call it from here on, and it was quick. News came out. Oh, there's new talk about Japan and the conversion trade. That's coming back into the headlines. I think that really affected the action last night, because it was a pretty heavy break.
Yeah, it was.
It was a nice trade. That's where I did get a nice short. I went to the first level of support on the pivot and held. And but as you had up there, we never recovered that area ever. That's so, and we're finishing at the lower portion of the profile. Oh, what does that mean? I mean, they were selling early last night, selling early this morning on bigger volume, and it hasn't recovered.
Right.
And so that to me has the DNA of liquidation, long liquidation, and which, you know, in a, and in these down markets, these correction markets, you get these wild swings
Yeah.
because they're not used to it. They want to go up.
Right.
It's in the, so when you had it with that, and when you had the point of control flipped a few times today, and it's also a sign of it's turbulence.
Looking at the developing volume point of control here, kind of flipping lower, higher, lower, higher. It was a back and forth trade. The overnight was probably the cleaner trade, where the New York session, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, was kind of back and forth. It looked like we were going to rally early, then we sold off, then we rallied again. Then there was the question of, are the lows in for the day? And honestly, it looks like the market got saved by the bell, because at that close, we were selling pretty hard there. And we'll see what that means going forward. But 66.30 last trade here in the S&P. Let's take a look at. I'm gonna go to the NASDAQ.
Here's one other thing. That profile is fat. It was
Okay.
balanced trade,
Yes, it was.
which isn't friendly. When we're feeling pressure, we're under the 200. They're not good if professionals didn't want to take it home. If it was good value, we shouldn't have a break like that on the close on a fat profile.
Let's take a look now at the NASDAQ. Is that right? That is right. Nope, that's not right. That's right. Okay. Here we go. Here's last night's volume profile. Right. So and then we look at the New York session open today. Initially, had a little bit of a spike to the upside. These are huge ranges, by the way. I was talking to my VIPs, Coach Paul, and they said the candles don't look that big. But
The volume.
if you pay attention to this y-axis over here, see these increments? These are 80-point increments. That is a function of the volatility of the market. So when you look over here, or you look at an ATR indicator, which I have hiding behind my head right here. If you look at that ATR indicator, it'll tell you how volatile these markets really are. And on a 3-minute in the morning, 3-minute ATR in the NASDAQ was 45 points. That is $900 on a mini. $90 with a micro. That is pretty expensive. And it kind of stayed, actually, it increased. It was, okay, it was 45 points because we were looking at extended trading hours. Let's put this on regular trading hours, only where most of our traders are probably trading. The 3-minute ATR got as high as 75 points. That's $1,250 with a mini.
One mini.
One mini every 3 minutes.
$1,250.
On average.
And what is the average withdrawal balance?
Yeah.
$2,000 to $4,000.
Right. The average drawdown, right? So it may not be your trade setup. It may be the leverage that you're trading with. We saw an initial push up. No volume went with that move. 24,800. What a price. What a price. We talk a lot about, what happens at whole number levels. 24,800. We traded it a couple times today after that New York session started. If you look at it this way, there was never any volume that traded up there. All day, right? Even early, it looked like we had a push. And of course, this is the NASDAQ, so it's going to run it by 30 points, which is another reason to trade micros, right? You could be short here, say short off 800. The market runs 30 points in the opposite direction before turning around. You know, you're right about the direction, but wrong on the sizing. And, that's a 400-point move to the downside. This was a pretty wild day. With all the volume that we saw trade, that first half an hour, 300 points to the downside, then a 150-point bounce. This was a wild day overall, but we look at what happened throughout the whole day. None of that volume traded above 24,800. Price barely did. This looking heavy for now. Of course, anything can and will change. Anything you got on the shorter time frame chart, Coach Will?
Yeah, and that range we couldn't leave. We never closed above it.
Which range?
The range you have there,
Oh,
the
this
opening
range.
range.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
We never, in S&P it did. The NASDAQ never did.
No, it didn't.
So something you hear me talking price, for me, it would have to get above that and close to give me a trigger, because it priced there. Wow. I think there was an offer there.
Yeah, somebody was selling up here. I didn't really see anything on the offer. I mean, partly because I was taking a nap during the middle of the day here.
Okay.
There might have been somebody selling up there, and yeah,
Well, you need a nap. You're a young puppy parent.
right. But yes, whether there was an offer up there or there was a lack of buying, no one was convinced that the NASDAQ needed to trade above 24,800. Or somebody might have been convinced. They just didn't have big enough pockets to hold it up there.
No. Well, it just shows it's a there's lack of buying, like on sale. It was on sale. To me, that was the early after that big volume of selling. The selling just stopped more than there was buying, and that slight difference being usually on breaks. There's bargain hunters, institutions going about would get it on sale. And then it continues, and we're not getting that. So the bigger, stronger hand is the seller, because they're getting out and they're not getting responsive buying once again.
Yep, absolutely. We got a question here from Lata in the chat. Lata, if you can clarify where your trade was, were you long or short in the NASDAQ and what the price was? I do want to get to your point that you made there. Lata says, hey, coaches, I sized all the way down to 1 to 2 micros on NASDAQ, but still got ran over with a 100-point stop. How do you balance staying out of extreme volatility, but also hoping to catch, quote unquote, the big one? Let us know where your trade entries were on that, and we'll get back to that because I think that is an interesting topic to discuss. Sometimes you're going to get it wrong. Let's take a look while we wait for Lata's response there at some of the other equity markets. And I just want to look at where we are in relation to this October 10th candle. S&P closing below 50% of it. The NASDAQ closing below 50% of it as well. 24,773 is that price. 24,158 is the low of that candle, 158.5. Trading about less than 2%. Oh, wow. Less than just about 1.5%. Interesting.
One other thing while you're there.
Yeah.
The 50-day moving average on the daily.
Closing below that as well.
So
in the NASDAQ.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the Russell.
Oh,
looks like it has a date with the 200 moving average. Closing below that candle yesterday and just left it behind. And the Dow right at 50% of it. So all of these markets under the 50-day moving averages. Potential break of this upside structure that we've seen pretty much since April, potentially, right? Still has a lot of work to do for sellers to get this market lower. Latte, if you can, with those trade entries, we'll keep going from here, but I do want to get back to that point. Let's take a look at the metals then. Taking a look at gold. What are we seeing here in gold on the daily, Coach Paul?
Ooh, holding the 50 moving average area, but not really reacting well. Still we're more and more evidence, a flare for the obvious that we're caught in this range.
Yeah.
But and VWAP is starting to come down quickly. Ranges are coming in. It's finding balance. I'm finding it hard to trade right now, which reflects what's going on here. But that 20 days curve down, I still think we're going to play with this 50 moving average before we take off. How about you?
I thought that we were going to trade that 50 moving average last night. I did get short a couple micros last night because it looked like we were just going to range between the 20 and the 50. The 20 moving average on the daily, 40, 55, 60. The 50-day moving average, 39, 75. Gold is in balance, right? And we got to keep reminding each other of that this could be the start. Now, actually, let's count it. How many days since we printed an all-time high? It's been 21 trading days since we printed an all-time high, almost a month. And we've seen this market do this for 95 trading days, right? So you don't get to 95 without starting with 1, but now we're at 20. And this market is comfortable trading these prices. We already saw a rejection of the 50% of this candle, which was significant price action to the downside. Trade the range until it shows you otherwise. And it was a pretty good short that I had last night, but directionally, it's not going too far. We did trade under 4,000s. Some urgency last night on the open, which was a pretty good trade and why I felt comfortable going into a short. You guys might have heard on slow markets last night, Coach Paul, I had to take this trade because the market looked like this. By the time Dakota and I start slow markets, the market looks like that. And I said, I have to take this short because when we do at the buzzer tomorrow, we're going to talk about that this is potential urgency in this trade. And if I don't take it, then I have to answer the question why I didn't take the trade. Because it was a setup. It was a setup that presents itself all the time. Now, my target was a little too far, 39.75, but I was able to take some profits out of this. We got to a 2-to-1 trade, traded it with a couple micros. And ultimately what happened is we got to a big fat round number, 4,000, and volume stopped selling it. So whether I like that target or not, the market had to agree that price needed to trade below 4,000, and it didn't. So I took my profits well before this because I did trail it. I think I got stopped out on one of these moves up. But this is where we hear Coach Paul say 2-to-1s are great for day trades. Where was my entry? 40.31. Somewhere around there was my entry. Let's go to ATR risk, 15 points, 30 points. This is on a 30-minute. Is that right?
Yeah, on a 30-minute.
Yeah. I didn't even get a 1-to-1 on this trade. At the low, you did. But I take my trades.
Two things happen too. You get, there's all this information. You started out with little information, fragmented to the opening,
right?
And the risk, and then you get new information. You're going down, and you're like, and this is one of in our mindsets we have to get used to because of the uncertainty. When it starts out great, in the back of our mind is like, yeah, this is the one. But and it can be it because as we go forward in time, we still have to deal with the uncertainty. But there was some new information down there. When if you're shooting for a 2-to-1, and two things we had a big first time we got near 4,000, we had a J trade
right here. Yes, we did. Wow, look at that. That is such a tiny candle too. Man.
Yeah. So this is part of our job as traders is to keep with new information. You can make better decisions.
Yep.
The objective was 2-to-1. And by the way, you accepted the loss until something dramatic like a J trade comes in, I'm done. That's it. I'd like to get 2 to 1, but it's not. What? Now I have new information, especially off. You think they had orders to buy near
Oh,
4,000?
somebody did. Somebody did, absolutely. In that 3-minute candle, 2,200 contracts traded, and that was the highest volume candle
Before,
at that time for the day, and that was at 2:30 Eastern time.
yeah, it was absorbed.
Yep.
So something, as you learn to trade, you have to be able and flexible enough when new information comes to make a good decision, either in this one, like with a J trade, like I'm done, I'm out, and look for the next opportunity. Heck, the opportunity to buy there was probably
Shit,
the
man,
best
was
trade
it?
of the day.
Was it? It was the trade of the day, man. Really nice move from there. One of the things we talked about yesterday, and I do want to point out this candle, was this high volume candle on the close, and we pointed this out in the equities as well, saying how does the market respond to this? Now, if I move this view up to that candle, what do we think it looks like? Flat line. Any extensions outside of the range with a flat view up means opportunity to trade back inside the range. So these closes out here, and if we have view up from session, again, another one that did not close outside. So we're getting a little extended here. It's expensive to sell down here. We're swimming in front of the shark in this case. And when that shark turns around, all the little fish go bye-bye. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here. 200 moving average up there at 41.23. The 20s back above the 50 for the first time since it crossed below the 200. So maybe a little bit of a change here. Maybe we are finding a bottom. Interesting stuff going on here in gold. You got something, Coach Paul?
Yeah, we're still under 200. We rallied hard off a bounce off the 4,000, but we still couldn't break yesterday's high.
Yeah.
So you like to call it braiding. That's part of a range.
Yeah.
So more of the same to me in the gold. But once again, I get every half an hour, I'm going to get new information.
Absolutely. H-Town Kevo says, how could you let yourself go to sleep before 4,000? Man,
You didn't know?
I didn't know. Honestly, I trailed. I think I put on a trailing stop and got stopped out that way. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Because I was just like, okay. Honestly, I didn't look at 4,000 like a level at all. It is going to blow through 4,000, go right to my target, 39.75. How did I get this box to extend to the right? In the settings, and I'm using a fib retracement tool. I just have 0, 0.5, and 1. But in the settings, you have extend lines to the right. So just make sure that's selected. All right. We got any other metals we want to take a look at, or they're all kind of doing the same
Let's
thing.
take a look at a per functionary look at silver.
Holding that 20 moving average at the low. Wow, that's a nice.
Where's this 200 on the half hour? Yeah. Still under it.
It is. Let's take a look at platinum really quick. Yeah. And then copper, right at that 200-day moving average. Even yeah. Oop. Not for me. All right.
Coach D?
Yeah. She might be in here. Coach D might be looking at this. Crude oil. Anything you want to say on crude oil, Coach Paul?
Yeah, it was a decent rally today.
It was.
But a decent rally. You know, that 20-day moving average is curling up. We're playing around with that 50. Let's see if we get across there. But until then, buy low and sell high.
Yep.
Okay. I can't put lipstick on a pig, right?
Yeah, I could say a bunch of words. I don't know if it's gonna change anything. I don't know if it's gonna change anything for this market. Was there a catalyst in crude today? Not that I saw. The 200 moving average was the catalyst. On the 30-minute. No, I don't know that there was actually. I didn't see anything, but I think that 200 moving average was the catalyst in my mind. No volume under it, and it popped right back up. But
Let's look at the 3-minute and see if we saw a J trade down there.
mm, yeah, for that time frame, there was one.
There it is.
Uh,
Mm,
mm,
Not a clean one, no.
Not
No, it
clean,
wasn't.
and nothing is clean about this market. There's nothing clean about this market at all. Maybe on a higher time frame range, but even then. Uh, yeah, I said I wasn't trading it for the rest of the year. Every time we talk about it, natural gas. We talked about this one during the opening call, and yesterday that 20 moving average on the daily supportive. So, is this a short covering rally, or was this a little bit of profit taking off this 200 daily moving average? Do we see another leg up here? I'm friendly to this market here. Uh,
This is the test.
yeah,
It held well. Um, had a nice little bounce. The short-term trend is still intact. We're still above that gap. So let's see tomorrow. Maybe it could be the little natural gas that could.
let's see. Let's see what it does. Got a little work to do to get back above that 200 on the 30, but interesting market here. Why did I frame out this candle? It's because it's the highest volume candle outside of this one. We reject right at 50% of it.
Yeah, that was yesterday's highest
Yep.
volume,
Yes,
right?
it was.
And that was that late selling last night or yesterday
Yes.
afternoon.
Yep. Late into the close. All right. I think we went through the markets. I do want to get back to Lotz's point there. And I see Antonio in the chat saying back in the XFA, heading back to live account soon. Trading on TopstepTV tomorrow, 10:15. Good stuff. We will see you on the show tomorrow. Scott Vaughn XFA update. Dozen a week making $660. Just get into an argument. Go on tilt. Okay, Scott. Make sure, yeah, and for all of us, right? Life is gonna happen. Life is gonna life. We got to try to keep life out of our trading. Because the market wants that, right? It wants all of that, right? Bring me all of your emotions and everything, and make terrible decisions. That's what the market is asking you to do. And then it'll make logical decisions and take your money. So be careful with that. All right, let's take a look. Any other markets you want to talk about, Coach Paul? I want to go back to the NASDAQ with Lotz's trade example there. With
Oh,
100
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
A big move last night got absorbed.
Yeah, it did.
This is the first buying and L8 buying candle all week for a week. A little bounce on decent volume.
Yeah.
But man, it got hit last night early. I was surprised to see it recover.
Yeah, last night's open right here in Bitcoin. I marked out that 90,000 level. Again, what is the market's reaction? Any market, what is the market's reaction to big fat round numbers? In this case, we had price trade below it, volume didn't. It priced below, it did not volume below. That might sound like a weird sentence, but no volume agreed that price needed to trade lower than 90,000. And we bounce right back up. Nice recovery. Big fat round numbers, not going to be easy to break through, to trade through. But nice recovery there for now in Bitcoin. Still has a lot of work to do.
For now.
For now.
And we're still braiding lower.
Yep.
It's still under a lot of pressure. But it made it looks to me like short covering really. So found some value. Nice level there, Coach.
Hey, it's the market. The market did it. It's like, hey, we like big fat round numbers. What happens here? Look at that 90,000. All right. Get to some questions in the chat. I love this question. It's not even a question, it's a statement. Edgy Invest says, I have no idea why we like NASDAQ so much. We might have some issues. Man, the Nasdaq
Oh,
is I mean, let's talk about it. Why do people like the Nasdaq? Right? It's the sexy trade. It moves quick. You get the biggest profits. All the influencers are trading it, showing big P and Ls. But with that, right, there's the opposite side of that. Uh, when there's quick money to be made somewhere, there's quick money to be lost somewhere for somebody else on the opposite side of that trade. And you know, it why do people like jumping out of airplanes with a parachute? Why do people like roller coasters? What it's could it be an adrenaline thing? I don't know. But uh, every once in a while we get on at the buzzer and we're in the green room. And I'm like, hey, Coach Paul, how was your day? And it could be a great trading day. He'll just say, oh, it's bored. And it's like, yeah, that's ideally where I want to be most times, right? I want to be bored. I want the market to move. I want it to present opportunities, but I want to be bored. Sometimes we are curing boredom with the Nasdaq, and
it's a great point there, Coach, because if you want drama,
yeah,
you're going to find it there.
yep,
So part of that too is when you have to analyze yourself and understand, is it the NASDAQ really, or is it your reaction to its movements? It is your trading strategy. Does it have an edge?
yep,
First of all, have a strategy, or else never trade the NASDAQ without a strategy.
no,
I mean, it's not, but is it the strategy or is it how you execute the strategy? And I find it, I think that the tell in NASDAQ is it's unwieldy. So it's harder to manage it because it's more volatile.
yep.
It's really based on 7 stocks.
It's based on one
So,
stuff.
yeah, skiing, I've skied once in my life, but I know this, don't go on those black diamonds. Where it says that,
Yeah,
don't go there. If it might be NASDAQ just doesn't like you, just wants to be friends.
right.
But understand that is you have to understand how you're executing your plan. And you might find out, yeah, man, I can't do it, but I can do it in the Dow or I could do it in the S&P. You don't have to be in there.
Mhm.
It on the other side, we might find the evidence that yeah, my strategy works. I'm just executing it, and because I don't, I have to get used to the type of movement in the Nasdaq, and then you can make improvements on that
Yeah,
because it's the most unwieldy. So when you're doing that, do that process. I found out a lot of time, especially short-term trade, day trading for me is executing the process because I'm naturally a swing trader. Day trader is a different animal,
yeah,
and you have to execute differently. That's why I
absolutely.
like 2 to 1s. I can get it, I'm done.
Yep.
Find another opportunity.
Speaking of the Nasdaq, let's talk through this trade that Lotta took. Said had about 100. So you said 100 point stop, but then you said it might not have been 100 points, but it was something near there. Either way, so and the reason I said that, right, because if it was 100 points, even if you shorted this low, you survived this pretty crazy swing here. But let's look at this trade, Coach Paul, and this is kind of back to the point that you could get direction right, and the Nasdaq can make it hard. You got to be really freaking good. Yeah, I was going to use a different word, but you got to save those sometimes. You got to be really, really good to trade the Nasdaq, and lucky, and all of it. Right? Have a plan, all of that stuff. But there's not a large margin for error here. slip up, you make a mistake, you jump into a trade too early, whatever it is, this is a valid trade setup, right? We had the low for the day so far for the New York session set. Somebody might say, hey, there's a breakout trade potential. Personally, I don't love them, but that could fit somebody's trading style. And in this case, it did work. If we break this low, I think we move lower. It's a valid trade here. The
heat index, though,
right.
was immediate.
The ATR, yeah, right. So, and this is why personally I don't love buying highs or shorting lows. But if let's say this was your strategy, the NASDAQ 1 minute, this is a 1 minute candle now. 1 minute ATR is 43 points. Coach Paul's suggestion is to trade with a 2 ATR stop. Now, let's say you could improve trade location here, right? And there's ways we talk about doing that. How close was your entry to volume? Look at this.
Yeah. You're giving away the algorithm, Coach.
Am I? Am I saying too much?
Yeah, they're going to cut us off.
I
hear a helicopter.
Just trade your plan. So basically, we got a little too far. So in the NASDAQ, it's unforgiving. You had the direction right. You traded with a wide stop. This is why, but you're not always going to get it right. I'm not always going to get perfect entries. I'm not always going to get, the market to agree with my trade idea right away. Let's take a look now at the S&P, which was probably a little unforgiving this morning as well, but maybe not as much. So you were taking that NASDAQ trade here where the S&P didn't sweep that low yet, but let's look at the difference. When the S&P swept that low, it went and didn't look back. This is maybe a cherry-picked example, but that's the personality of the NASDAQ. So if you're going to trade it, you got to know its personality, right? Is it going to happen all the time? It's not, but it's actually kind of validating the point here that the S&P just may be a more forgiving market. If my trade strategy is sweep this low and then we go, once the S&P does it, it chose a direction, it's not going to look back. Let's take a look at some of the other markets. Let's take a look at the Dow. That same trade, once it swept the low, did we get more than a 2 ATR pull-up? Swept the low. Didn't. Same trade. This one didn't turn out as good, right? But you did have some profits at some point. You got a 1.5 to 1 trade here, almost. Take a look at the Russell. This just wasn't good. Stopped you out.
The Russell was a different animal altogether because it rallied right off the open.
Right. Correct. Completely different trade. It's probably fair to compare the S&P and the NASDAQ because those move tandem the most. But that the S&P and the NASDAQ, and Lotta just said Jay's trying to make me an S&P trader. I don't want to convert anybody to anything, right? Because switching over to the S&P doesn't mean that you automatically start winning trades. But I just understand how difficult the NASDAQ is to trade.
But another thing, the important thing to remember is the S&P is an index of 500 stocks.
Right.
NASDAQ is 100 stocks, but really value, it's heavily weighted to the 7 stocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be have more variability by default. So either way, you have to understand how to execute it.
Yep.
I love I'll trade the NASDAQ. If I see the setup,
right.
I just know it's a difference between riding a show horse and a bronco horse.
Right. The angry bull.
Yeah, you said that yesterday.
Yep.
The angry bull.
The NASDAQ is the angry bull. The S&P is more like the bull that they have at the like a petting zoo. If they were to have a bull at a petting zoo, right? It's like he's just here because he's here. He's
Put in a quarter.
right. Collecting money to pay for his kids' college fund. Uh, uh, that bull. But the NASDAQ is the aggressive bull. So yeah, just be aware of that. And with that being said, you can trade it. You got to know who you're dealing with, right? All right. I think we talked about most of the markets. I think we went through a bunch of questions. I see some good comments, traders taking payouts and things like that. Um, of course, there are two sides to trading. Always, if you're on the downside today, remember that today is just one data point. Don't allow whatever happened today. If you won or lost, don't allow it to affect what happens tomorrow. Right? Tomorrow is its own trading day. It's going to present its own opportunities to us. And just because you made money today doesn't mean you're guaranteed to make it tomorrow. Just because you lost money today doesn't guarantee you're going to lose it. Take each day as its own thing. I think it's extremely important. We did talk about nat gas. It had a bounce off that 20-day moving average. Any other markets, Coach Paul, you want to talk about? Haven't asked this
Bitcoin?
question in a while. Anything
We
on your
did
scouting
Bitcoin,
report?
didn't
We
we?
did, yeah, we're flying through them today.
Oh, Japanese yen.
Somebody brought it up yesterday.
Yeah, hope they who was that? Did you catch that short again today? Because it continued. These are all-time lows, and look at the ranges just contracting. Mm, what I mean,
Yeah.
it feels just it's coiling where it's just gonna explode to the downside. Like if there was what I mean is if there was some value here, you'd see bigger ranges. Like some heavy selling came in here, it's just going to go vertical to the downside.
Yeah.
And this has been it's breaking like that on less than average volume.
New lows of the year. New lows of the year. Did you catch a piece of that?
Who was it?
I was saying for you, did you catch a piece of that
I
trade?
got a little piece of it. I
Nice.
sold it late. Um, I saw it and I caught a just a one bar worth of value.
Got you.
Um, but it was a good trade. But if we go in and use the volume profile, because I mean, they had rallies. It wasn't just straight down,
Yep.
but we're still under the 200 moving average. So I'm leaning towards the sell side. If I can catch something of structure, and I can afford the risk, I'm going to take it. And the size of the way the Japanese yen is, it's like eating a chip. You don't. It's a good place to practice trading. I don't think we've ever said that, but
Yeah.
look at the value of a half-hour bar on an average two range.
What is
What
this?
is it? 10 points?
On a half an hour? Man,
What's the ATR? Like 12 points?
you're gonna have to quote this one. Point 0.000064, whatever that means.
6.5 points
There you go.
in a half an hour times 12 and a half. It's less than $100. It's like $75 range.
Shouldn't be blowing your account unless you over leverage, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good place to learn how to trade. I don't,
Yeah.
and it does trend. And you can be violently turn around, but if you're managing your risk and you do two ATRs, right? The biggest, you really shouldn't be losing more than 150 on any trade on a one lot.
Right.
So I think it's undervalued as far as its value of learning how to trade. Yeah, quick with the math. Yeah, I lived in fraction world for 20 years in the bonds and doing GAN. If you've ever studied, I'll have to do a week of GAN theory. I'll do that.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. 2 ATRs is a good safe zone. Yes, it is. I think that's it. I think we did it. We did it.
Yeah.
Um,
We have time for questions.
let's see. We got one here. Controversial question. I don't think this is controversial. Back to funded. Best use case. You lose your XFA, trading a process. And actually, there was some other questions that I saw earlier that I want to get to as well. You lose your XFA, trading a process, and slow burn your XFA. What does that mean? Dolby says when he worked in support, he could probably count on one hand the amount of times he saw somebody have a set daily loss limit and just have a streak of losing days where they lost their XFA. Right? Let's say my daily loss limit on a $4,500 account is $450, right? 10%. He can count on one hand, he said, how many people have lost hitting consecutive daily loss limits. So if you lose an account that way, that means that you actually tried. Hopefully you tried. Hopefully you didn't just set your daily loss limit, throw on whatever the max size was, and just say, hey, well, I lost. We'll try it again tomorrow. But if you actually traded a process and lost your account, different story because you can probably go back to trading that process. If you open up an XFA on day one, throw on the max amount of contracts, close your eyes, hit the reverse button 600 times, and try to figure out what happened, probably not a good use case for spending your money because I'll say it, it's not cheap and it shouldn't be because it's an opportunity to get back into a an account that you can pull money from. So, you have to ask, am I willing to be the responsible enough trader to take care of that more expensive account? Because I do think it's worth it for the time that you get back. But if you're just going to take that time and throw it out the window again, then it's probably not worth it. Just get back into a normal account and start over from scratch.
Good, great words, great advice. We're here to trade
Yeah.
consistently. And I
Right.
just saw a comment here by Scott. Me winning 5 winnings days equals $650, but one day losing is $1,500 loss. Gonna have to get a grip on that. Now you've made a discovery.
Yep.
And it relates to what you just said, coach. Those
Mhm.
$1,500 losing days is where the difference between success and failure for you. I can tell you right now, from my experience, direct experience is think like a plumber. You have to cut that leak.
Mm.
It's gaping leak.
Yeah.
How do I stop that?
Not with duct tape.
Not with duct tape, but with a cutoff valve. All right. That cutoff valve is no matter what, you cannot lose more than 10 to 12% because this is where what I was talking earlier, where the execution goes out the window.
Mhm.
Now, I noticed also you said that, you had 5 winning days equaling, you had 5 trading days that you were up 650 following a process. Eliminate the word winning and losing.
Yep.
Because then it's easier to accept that cutoff valve. Like, okay, stop, done. Whew, thank God. What I used to climb rocks when I was in college.
Mm.
Dumb, too. I was very amateur, and I might have 2 beers or rappelling, but I would never do rappelling without a lock. Think of that here. That's part of the plumbing.
Right.
You have to develop that. That is a stopgap measure. It's for anyone, for myself included, that is the lesson and the process between success and failure. Learn it and then love it.
Absolutely. One other question, I can't remember who asked, so sorry, but if you're still here, also make sure you join us tomorrow. We are going to have an NVIDIA watch party for your earnings tomorrow, so make sure you are here at the buzzer. We'll be watching that. But someone asked, when can I go to 2 micros from 1 in my 50K XFA? I'm going to answer a question with a question. How consistent are you trading with 1? There's your answer there. You can consistently do it for 30 days, then maybe you take another one. You can consistently do, and you know, you might ask yourself, do I even need to? So what is the yeah, how consistent are you with one? I'll leave it at that. Anything you want to add to that, Coach Paul?
And no, I think you've got it down perfectly. Um, because these are principles.
Yep.
And remember, you break rules and survive, but if you break principles, chances are you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
That's where we got to be as a trader.
Another question here. How important do you think it is to make the first trade of the day a 100% winner, even if it's small? That's helped me a bunch. If it's helped you, that's great, Daniel. I don't know that I've ever thought about that though. Guaranteeing that the first trade of the day is a winner. For me personally, I could see how that is, especially if I'm saying, hey, no matter how small this trade is, it has to be a winner. I could almost see how that, for me, and just the way I think about it, and we're all different humans, right? So we process things differently. I could almost see that as being counterintuitive, right? Because now my goal is not to take a good trade, it's to stay green, however small that is. And I might overlook opportunities from there trying to protect a trade that, like you said, however small. And I'm sure you're not talking about, hey, like 30 cents, I'm green. But even if it's an $80 trade, that's a tough one for me. What about you, Coach Paul?
Um, well, it you know what it reflects? The mindset.
Yeah.
And we're humans. As you learn, and this is part of the learning process, is we have really no control over whether the next trade if we have an edge that we're executing an edge. There's
Mhm.
an important distinction. You have no control whether that's going to be profitable or unprofitable. But when it's profitable, it helps. It's like it helps our mindset to be comfortable to take risk.
Yep.
In basketball, coach, a shooter,
Yep.
a shooter, if he misses it, if
Get
he
a layup.
misses his first shot, can ruin him.
Yeah.
Like but a great shooter,
Yeah.
make or miss, I'm taking the right shot, and
Yep.
over time, it's an advantage, and I
Absolutely.
have to execute that advantage.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you recognize that, but also start bringing in the understanding that you can't control it. And it does help you, yeah, because the first one I got some.
Right. That puts me in the flow. I mean, when you said it that way, Coach Paul, because at first I heard that and I'm like, man, I hesitate to even agree with that. But when you put it in basketball sense, and this is why it's a beautiful thing making these parallels. When you see somebody in a shooting slump, tell them to go get a layup, right? You just need to see the ball go through the basket, right? Or get to the free throw line, right? You ever tell one of your great shooters that they get to the
Oh,
game and they can't make anything? Find a way to get to the free throw line so now you can quiet everything out and take a good shot. And so I can see the benefit to that. Yeah, absolutely. As long as it doesn't right now, what I wouldn't want to do is, hey, you're a great shooter, you're in a slump, so you get a layup, and now you don't shoot for the rest of the game. Right?
right. And that was the development where it's a higher level player or trader.
Right.
In basketball, are you a shooter or are you a scorer?
Yeah.
And it's a difference that can take you to a much to a higher level. Where a scorer, like you just said, it goes, okay, I'm not shooting well. I got to get to the hoop, get to a foul line. Thinking of scoring, where a shooter will just, but you have less tools in the tool chest.
Right. The scorer might have
Um,
the ball in their hand a lot more.
yeah.
Yeah.
So good job. I mean, it's great that you're noticing it. Now start making the transition to going, okay, I understand and it is good, but I can't control
Yeah,
Whether it's winner or loser, I can execute a process.
absolutely. Uh, all right. I got one more comment that I want to comment on. This was from Why So Serious, and they said, "See you still here." So I'm going to comment on this. Thanks for highlighting volume. A friend tried to downplay my trade that I made with volume, but it was a winner. Hey, doesn't matter how you get to it. Trade a process for a long period of time that you can expect positive results from. The money's still green. Also, your friend does not have to see the markets the same way as you. My friend here to the right of me, we do see the markets the same way often. Uh, my other trading buddy, Coach Dakota, you ask him about volume, it's an afterthought, right? So it really is about what you see in the markets. You know, and I don't know your friend, so this is not directed to your friend. But anytime somebody tries to invalidate somebody else's trading strategy, tells me how much confidence they have in their own. I don't have to invalidate what somebody else sees to see what I see, and just keep that in mind. Keep trading what you see.
Very good. Yeah, you have to trade and develop your own trading plan.
Yep.
We can't execute something. I really don't think you can really execute someone else's trading plan well,
No, you can't.
but we can all trade well. Well, it goes back. You don't have to be right. You just have to trade right.
Absolutely.
And that and that is about consistency of risk and size, and consistency of loss. Without that, it's random. I mean, it sounds so damn easy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It really does. Man, we could keep going. Keep seeing comments in the chat that further this conversation. Ahmed says, "Why do traders around here not use the Fibonacci when it's so helpful? Use it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what anybody else is doing." If Ahmed, if a trader uses the Fibonacci on Topstep TV and makes money with it, does that put any money in your pockets? Doesn't. So
Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Fibonacci. I used to
right.
use it again. I mean, yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah, that's why it comes back to planning a trade
yeah.
that you are going to execute.
Yep. Yeah. That you're gonna execute. I see it so much in this space. It's like, oh man, these people don't know that this concept works or this concept works. Who cares about those people? You pay your own bills. Trade the concept that makes sense to you. If it's making you money over an extended period of time, you can do it repeatedly. Flip a coin, manage your risk. If that's your strategy, might not be one I agree with, but if it pays you over the long term, who am I to say that you're wrong? So keep trading what makes sense to you, Coach Paul. Anything else you got before we get out of here? I hear the
Well,
puppy
this
waking
is
up.
very appropriate to end with plan your trade your plan. Whatever those variables are, execute them.
It's a big four-letter word there. Your plan. Make it make sense to you. Make it make sense to you. All right, that is it.
All right.
That is it. Coach Hoop is doing a class in Discord after this, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Then we got Coach Ray and Coach Vince, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern. Coach Dakota with Slow Markets tonight, 8:30. Baron will be joining him. Uh, Aaron with the London Open tomorrow morning, 2:30 a.m. Eastern. D with the Euro Trade, 4:30. And we will be back on Topstep TV for the opening call, 8:15 Eastern time. Tomorrow, NVIDIA Watch Party, make sure you are here. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate you all being here each and every day. See you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.